Do not buy 12 Tribes on Earth hair growth oil and hair magic elixir unless you want super healthy, gorgeous hair that grows. They have a whole line of amazing hair growth products, including hair growth leave-in conditioner spray, hair growth shampoo, hair growth spray, and hair growth butter. I'm starting to sense a theme here. They include quality natural ingredients. They smell amazing, and you can see the results for yourself. So if you're looking for healthy hair growth for your natural or relaxed hair, try 12 Tribes on Earth today.
Shalom, family. Good to see you all. Hope you're doing well. I just want to make an announcement. I'm going to be showing the full eclipse, and I will be restreaming it from nasa.gov. So if you want to come and join me, you can. I think it starts at 1:15, and I think it's over like just before 3 o'clock. So if you got time to watch, you're more than welcome. And a shout out to NASA for allowing me to restream it. So, anyway, y'all, we're going to talk about how Iran literally broke the US missile supply. And this was definitely done on purpose. I think Iran has been fully aware that America has been struggling with their stockpile. And it's for a variety of different reasons. Number one, like Iran can pump out, I think, like 500 drones per day. Per day. And the US missiles and everything they produce takes approximately 2 years. So it's already, the US is at a production disadvantage. Number two, America gave away a lot of their stockpile to Ukraine. I think if that did not happen, where they were given tons of money and all kinds of munitions to Ukraine, America probably would be in a better place right now as far as munitions are concerned. You got to remember, since the beginning of the Ukraine Russia war, and like, what are we, 4 or 5 years in? The US has been continuously giving them all types of military equipment. So, yeah, so America's in a bad place. It really is. And it's screaming weakness all over the globe. And people are watching. You can best believe America's enemies are watching. So at the end of the day, no, you are not big and mighty superpower and this and number one and all that stuff y'all like running around saying. No, you are a struggling nation with people within that nation with many financial troubles, tons of inflation, and many people that can no longer find work or their jobs are being replaced by AI. That's the state America is in today. You are not powerful. You are not strong. You're none of them things. So Iran definitely got the US in a bad position. Now, let me tell you how bad it is. It is so bad with the munitions. America is no longer firing back, and they're allowing Iranian missiles to hit the bases without it being challenged now. They don't have enough to fight back with. So Iran is firing and they're not even responding. That's how bad it is. And you can go out there, y'all, and find the stories all out there. Not making this up. The US is not fighting back. They're not. Yeah, I mean, the low munitions is it's definitely a Democrat problem because they're the ones that gave shit away. And it's a Republican problem because Donald Trump had no business starting this war. I don't care what Netanyahu said to him. He should not have jumped in this war, period. But now it is what it is. And America is in over her head. She really is. And all Donald Trump keeps doing is lying just to try to save face from the fact that he lost. And he's still trying to sit around doing all that tough talk that nobody's paying attention to. That is so kindergarten to me, just watching him speak like that. And everything he do is the biggest and best and greatest that anybody has ever seen or ever done. It's just kindergarten talk. So anyway, y'all, let's get to it. Okay. Please give me a 1 if you can see my screen. Okay. DCB 6394, thank you so much for your very generous super chat. Thank you for all you do for our community. Thank you so much for your support. It is deeply appreciated. Thank you. Brooklyn 71881, thank you for the 2 jewels. Silver Star, I deeply appreciate your support. And again, Brooklyn 71881, thank you for the 30 jewels. Flower, thank you for your support. Thank you so much. Thank you for the ones, everybody.
The United States is literally running out of ammunition right now. And it's already gotten so bad within the first 6 months of this war that they're literally letting rockets come through and hit our bases. For instance, the Patriot missile is probably the most advanced form of missile that we have. Before the war started, and keep in mind, each Patriot missile costs about $4 million, right? But before the war started, we had about 2,200. Now we have less than 900. In other words, we spent $5.2 billion on just this one specific type of missile, and we're already almost out of them, and it's not even the end of the summer yet. This is also problematic for the United States because the way that Iran is making us deplete our missile resources is with very cheap drones. At the start of the war, they were using pretty much.
I want you to think about what he just said. 900 Patriots left. Do you know that Iran fires more than that on Israel in one night? Okay, they fire sometimes like 700 missiles or sometimes even 1,000 missiles in one night at Israel. And there's only 900 left, which you already know is not enough. They wouldn't even be able to get through the week if they had to depend on just the Patriot missiles that are left. That's pretty sad. Let's go on.
Like improvised devices to like trigger these interceptor missiles, and now that America's depleted, they're starting to send over their more advanced weaponry, which has a lot more damage that it can cause. And the United States is already fudging the numbers about the number of casualties in this war, right? Keep in mind, like a casualty is also like a significant injury as well, but they're claiming that a fewer amount of people pass away than they did because at one point there was a ceasefire, as if this isn't representing a longer ongoing conflict. And I said it once and I'll say it before, like if you are planning on joining the military, I strongly advise you to stop doing that. And if you're in the military and somehow watching this, I think you should find a way to quit. I mean, obviously I know you can't just quit, but I believe like your life is not in caring hands. And this war is escalating. It's not de-escalating, right? Because the restriction on oil can probably last for maybe another year, but this attacking of other bases in the Middle East, or, Ukraine joining, or, open antagonism to China, like all this is spiraling out of control very quickly for no good reason. We should just surrender. America should just surrender, take the L. You should like, share, and comment. Making videos for you guys is my full-time job. Or you can support me personally by listening to my music. My new single on Hybrid Trap Records, Ever Since, is on all platforms.
Iran just called America's bluff. After promising to reopen the Strait of Hormuz, Tehran suddenly added new conditions, and the timing isn't a coincidence. Iran knows America is running out of ammunition. Nearly 80% of U.S. THAAD missiles and half its Patriot interceptors are already gone, burned through in this war. The Pentagon is now begging Congress for emergency funding, but experts say rebuilding could take years. So Iran is pushing harder, negotiating from a position of strength it didn't have months ago. 1/5 of the world's oil flows through this strait. If America can't respond the way it used to, Iran holds the leverage, and global markets could feel it overnight.
The United States is running out of missiles under Donald Trump. We are 5 months into the Iran war, and Reuters now reports that the military has used virtually all of multiple types of missiles, 2 crucial classes, ATACMS, and precision strike missiles. These are sort of like the 2 most important long-range precision weapons that we have. Now, we are not totally out, but we are virtually out of these types of missiles. The United States has also burned through about half of the global Tomahawk supply, and defensive stockpiles are shrinking very quickly. Donald Trump spent his entire first term saying Barack Obama left the military depleted. And he repeatedly told audiences, when I enter office, I am going to fill the cupboards because they are bare, thanks to Barack Obama. And he said generals would come to him and go, sir, we have no ammunition. The military is depleted. I have to rebuild it. That was total BS then. Trump used it to justify expanding the military industrial complex and the defense budget. But as is often the case with Trump, sometimes the projection you see right away. Sometimes you have to wait a few years. Trump, now nearly a decade after making those claims in 2017, is presiding over something much closer to the crisis he pretended was going on. Because Trump launched the Iran war at the end of February, said it would be 2 to 3 weeks. It's 5 months now. There's no congressional authorization. And now the reduced stockpiles of the United States actually could be a problem if we have to respond to a crisis that involves China or Russia or North Korea. And the numbers are nuts. The CSIS estimates we have expended 65% of the Patriot interceptors between February and July. And the THAAD interceptor stockpile is 38% lower than it was before this war. These missiles can't be replaced overnight. Now, let me get back to, do we need as many of these missiles? Because I know some of you are going like, maybe it's good. We'll get back to that. But these can't be replaced overnight. They're about $1 million each. They need specialized manufacturing. They can take years to make in significant numbers.
The U.S. might actually stop its weapon shipments to Ukraine or maybe reduce it. That is what a new report from Bloomberg is stating right now. And the reason behind that is not because the United States doesn't support Ukraine, but it's because the United States is running really low on its stockpile. For those who don't know, in the military complex here in the United States, whenever the United States sells something to another country, there's always a clause that states that they will sell these to said country unless the United States needs them first, in which then the United States would have to then backlog whoever is buying it, and the United States gets priority. In this case, these weapons were bought from European countries, which were then going to be handed over to Ukraine. But since the U.S. stockpile is dwindling so fast, the United States needs them. And so they're telling these countries, we might either have to slow down on how much Ukraine gets or maybe stop it completely. This already came as the United States already said they were going to give more Patriot interceptors to Ukraine because they need them for their stockpile. But this is now talking about other kinds of munitions that Ukraine needs. This, of course, could be a problem for Ukraine if allied countries don't step up. So hopefully soon we'll see other countries like Turkey say, we have some stuff on our stockpile in Ukraine. We will give you these.
The reason Trump keeps saying that there's a deal on the table, we're just seconds away from, having a peace resolution, is because we're out of missiles. We're out of long-range missiles. Yeah. All those trillions and trillions of dollars spent, and we're already out of long-range missiles. That seems suspicious to anybody else. But when Trump says, no, we've stopped bombing and we've got, a deal on the table, and Iran is like, girl, no, we don't. This is why. And it also sort of allegedly points out that all those trillions of dollars were spent on the facilities to house the missiles, not the missiles themselves, which government contracts, good way to make money, and you don't really have to do anything. We kept the lights on. The lights are on, but we're not building anything else. And they've been warning about this inside the military for years. Years and years. They've been saying, we're going to run out. We do not have the capacity that you think we have, because it's not what the money's being spent on. So we cannot produce enough missiles fast enough to backfill what we're shooting out. So we're out. We don't have the facilities or the production capabilities to do anything about it. It's ridiculous, is what it is. There's no reason for us to get involved in this. What do you think about this? I think this is a huge vulnerability for us as a country, even though, we're being taken over digitally. There's a lot of blackmail out there about certain people doing certain things, allegedly. Anyway, let me know what you think about this. Sound off in the comments. I don't know. Give me some pink hearts today. I want pink hearts. And I will talk to you in a little bit. Link to my Substack in my bio. Okay, I love you. Bye.
We've lost this war. There's no coming back. We either have to admit that we lost and come home, or commit 1 million ground troops and be bogged down in a war that lasts the next 20 years. According to the administration, as of today, the strikes against Iran are on hold. But listen to the discussions that they're having behind closed doors. According to Axios, and if you don't read Axios, I highly recommend that you do, the top U.S. commander in the Middle East, Admiral Brad Cooper, recommended stopping the bombing campaign around the Strait of Hormuz because it had reached the limit of its effectiveness. In other words, we had already hit all the targets worth hitting. You can't just bomb, dirt. That's not going to do anything. He noted we already hit pretty much all the targets worth hitting, and that there was...
Wow, just when you thought things couldn't be more messed up. Yeah, they get more messed up, because literally Donald Trump is bragging about how manufacturing and business is just doing so much better and it's moving forward. Yeah, because we're building missiles. We have data centers going on all over the place, which had nothing to do with Trump whatsoever. Data centers are being thrown up everywhere. And now we're spending billions and billions and billions of dollars on missiles. Yeah, that is the majority of our great manufacturing, just so you know. All this manufacturing that we're doing, it's data centers and missiles. Goody, goody, goody. Data centers are ruining the literal fiber of the country. And we're spending billions and billions of dollars on bombs to blow up bombs. Yeah, I'm not joking. We're spending $60 billion just on Patriot missiles alone. But yeah, in the last 5 months, we've basically ran out of missiles already. That's why this war just seems to keep going and going and going, because the United States can only go so far before they've run out of ammunition. The big bad United States that Trump says we've never been more prepared. You don't even have missiles to shoot. You don't. Oh, this is what happens when you put a game show host in power. Yeah, and as the leader of our country, we put in a game show host. What could go wrong?
Donald Trump just committed a major self-own, accidentally admitting that the United States is in fact running low on weapons because of the war in Iran. In a late-night post, I don't think he even realized what he just did. So while you were asleep, this is what he posted, that the United States has massive amounts of munitions, especially of certain types. Additionally, large amounts are being manufactured and shipped to the United States as needed. Defense companies are building the largest number of plants and factories in the country's history. The, quote, leaker of these treasonous statements are being hunted down. Long-term jail sentences will be sought. A couple of things. Number one, this is in response to reports that the United States is running out of weapons, which he's admitting is actually true, even though he says it's not. And here's how he did it. It is not a crime to leak false unclassified information about the status of the United States' munitions. Let's say a Defense Department employee went to the Washington Post and said that the United States is running low on munitions. And that's completely not true. That's not what classified intelligence says. It's not what confidential intelligence says. Yeah, they could be fired. They'll lose their job. But they didn't commit a crime that is warranting a long-term jail sentence. If he's admitting there are leakers, that means he's admitting that the statements being put out are actually, in fact, true, and they're leaking classified or confidential information. So in essence, by calling for their hunting down and long-term jail sentences and posting this while everyone was asleep, he actually admitted that the United States is running low on weapons. Follow for more.
The United States government is actively running out of military weapons. They're running out of munitions as a result of the war in Iran. And according to new CNN reporting, the chairman of Joint Chiefs of Staff, General Kane, and Vice President J.D. Vance privately warned President Donald Trump that continuing the military campaign against Iran could rapidly deplete America's supply of critical munitions. Those concerns go beyond the conflict with Iran. Officials reportedly cautioned that using too many precision-guided weapons now could leave the United States less prepared to respond to future threats from other adversaries around the world. After 13 consecutive days of U.S. airstrikes, Trump unexpectedly halted the bombing campaign on Friday night, and the pause continued into Saturday. As Sunday begins, questions are growing about whether America's shrinking weapons stockpile is a major reason behind the sudden change in strategy. While the administration has not officially confirmed that munition shortages alone prompted the pause, reports suggest the issue played a significant role in internal discussions. If true, this could have major implications for U.S. military readiness and future foreign policy. Despite its significance, the story has received relatively limited public attention compared with other developments surrounding the conflict.
So, y'all, this is going to be an interesting next few months because Iran, they're not going to stop firing on those military bases. And the fact that the U.S. is just letting it happen unchallenged. And I do agree, the casualties got to be way higher than what they're telling us. Because if you remember, in the beginning, they tried to say it was 7, then they tried to say 13, and then they stuck with 13. And wars don't work like that, y'all. Especially when missiles are going back and forth. There are casualties virtually every day. Civilian casualties, military personnel casualties. It happens every day. There is no such thing as missiles flying around and you only had 13 people that are gone, but every day, because even Iran posted their casualties, they were losing people every day. But according to Donald Trump, only 13 lost their lives on the U.S. side. That doesn't even make any sense. I may not have been in wars, but I certainly have watched some of them in my life, and I have never seen where either side did not have casualties on a regular basis. But according to Donald Trump, that's the way it is, which is a bold-faced lie. And I feel sorry for the servicemen and women that are in this country, because many of you are losing your lives and Donald Trump chooses to ignore you. That's pretty sad. Not much inspiration for anybody to join the military. But I think we will get the true numbers eventually. It's going to take somebody outside of the Trump administration that have credibility to publish the numbers. That's what it's going to take, because it's not going to come from Trump or his administration at all. It's just not going to come from them. But maybe a year or two when he's no longer president, the real numbers will perhaps come out. So y'all, I sure hope the military is getting fed Donald Trump, because you seem unconcerned about that. Y'all don't even want to talk about it. If it wasn't for the military posting them sorry ass looking meals on the internet, we wouldn't even know they were starving. So y'all, during the Iraq-Afghanistan war, thank you, Carlette, you said America lost 4,400 soldiers, and I am a Gulf War veteran. Yeah, that makes sense. That actually sounds realistic. But what Donald Trump is trying to get us to believe is just simply not believable. It is not believable. It would have to be casualties on both sides literally every day with all the bombs that are flying around. Yeah, well, yeah, we'll know the truth one day, y'all. We really will, but just not from the people that are sitting in office right now. It's not going to come from them. One of many ancestral shadows. Thank you so much for the super chat. Shout Lisa for acquisition and verification. Thank you so much for your support. And Chantez Davis Sr., thank you for the 10 jewels. Gold coin, thank you so much for your support. Okay. And one quick announcement, and I did say this yesterday, but I'm going to say it again today, and I have it pinned in my community tab. The problem that was going on with UPS, many of you were looking at tracking and just saw a label created and then nothing else was there. That was a UPS problem. I contacted them and they worked on getting their system up to date. So you should not see that problem again. It may crop up in the future. Just let me know. I will call over to them and they had to do something on their end, but all of the tracking is there and it is up to date. Because I know some people were like, they said you didn't give them the pack. Yes, I did. I get those packages out as fast as I can. It's pretty quick. And it was just not reflecting on their end. So let me know if 48 hours go by and you don't see the tracking moving, then I need to talk to them. But I do appreciate the fact that they took the time to clear it up and didn't just blow me off. So y'all have a wonderful afternoon. If you are planning on watching the eclipse with me, it will be starting at 1:15 Eastern time. I'm going to try to be online a little bit prior to that, just to make sure, I can get the feed and everything coming through. So I hope to see you there. If not, have a wonderful afternoon. I do have other lives coming up. I had to kind of reschedule a few things, but I do have other lives coming up. So y'all have a wonderful afternoon. Don't forget to pick up your hair products, and shalom, family.